Do you think of money as like energy in that sense? Because the way you're talking about it sounds like that. Whereas a lot of people who don't understand money don't think of it that way.
It is a form of energy because, as Einstein's saying, energy equals m plus or minus mc squared plus another factor. So it is interconvertible from a material form to another form. It starts out theoretically being some sort of currency in the form of, rocks or pebbles or shells or something, and eventually it becomes, cattle. I guess that's where we got the bull market, right? Capita.
Right.
Capital.
Capita.
And then you eventually go to something that is more like coins, and then it goes to paper, then it goes to plastic, and then it goes to electronics, and now it goes to photonics, and now it's going into entanglement. That's the next stage of money, where it's purely manifested instantaneously through a quantum entangled connection. And so there's an evolution to it, from the most gross to the most subtle, from the most concrete to the most abstract, from that which is cumbersome and slow to that which is efficient. And we're moving by Maupertuis's law to the most efficient system of expression. And so money is a means of transactional fair exchange that are sustainable, and we accumulate money to the degree that we master true fairness and equity. If we're exaggerating ourselves with pride, we don't listen to our customers or employees, we eventually get backlash, and it humbles us. If we're minimizing ourselves, we sacrifice our profits and pay too much and have chaos. But if we find that balance and have an equanimity within ourselves, neither proud nor shame, but true to ourselves, and equity between ourselves with a reflective awareness of self and other, we have the most sustainable economics, the most sustainable socioeconomics, the most sustainable physiology. Every area of our life is mastered in that one state. And that's the very spiritual calling that we have, the equanimity, but it's also material mastery.
A lot of people think money's bad and money's dirty and money's evil, but based on your explanation, it's not. Money is something
it's a perfect expression. That's why I was saying transcending the moralities of money. The fastest way to disempower people is to project onto people an idealism that's incapable of being lived, creating a hypocrisy of disempowerment. And so the money circulates through the economy from those who have the least power to those most, those who have the least value on it to those who have the most, just like people do that. And so it ends up in the hands who project the values, and that's the way they keep, in a sense, the money circulating back to them. But the wise individual empowers themselves by caring enough about another individual to find out what their needs are and find a fair exchange with it. I had a young boy that was in South Africa, and he attended a program that I did at the Westin Hotel Arbella at the Cape Town waterfront. There's about maybe 800 people there. He's way in the back. I didn't get to meet him that night, but he was there. And I did a presentation on personal perspectives on your own relationship to money. And then I came back, that was September, and I came back in December, and he comes back to the program I did. And this time he comes up to me and he waits through all the pictures and signing of books and stuff at the end. And he comes up to me and he stands there. He's the last person. He's 14 years old. And he says, Dr. Demartini, and he handshakes me and says, "You inspired me." And I said, "How? How so?" He says, "I came here in September and you inspired me to start to save money and start to think differently." And I said, "Great." He says, "Dr. Demartini, I come from a family. I have 9 brothers and sisters. I'm the oldest. I'm 14. My mother and father have died of AIDS, and I run the family, and I'm responsible for everyone. And I live in a little shack in Kailicha, and it's got little plastic on top of it. It leaks when it rains. We don't have any water or electricity, but we're close by the water and the latrine." And he says, "But you told me that it's not what happens to me on the outside, it's what I decide to do with it. I have control over my perception, decisions, and actions, and I can take whatever happens to me and turn it into opportunity." Well, I started doing something different. I work in a little brick factory, and I stack mud bricks, and I get 60 cents a day. And I took 15 cents of that, and I paid a woman to take care of their brothers and sisters, but I started saving 15 cents a day. And I've saved $7.50, equivalent of US dollars, since I was here in September. And my goal is to have $30 saved by next year. And I'm going to then buy a $200 house for my family that has a real ceiling and a real light bulb, and it's got water in it. And I just want to thank you for that. And I want to inspire another 1,000 kids to do the same, to know that they can do it, because they're dying and they're not knowing they can do that. So thank you for doing that. And when I thought about that, I actually went to see this house. I met him and I went to see it. I was in tears. I told him, I said, "You inspired me. I didn't inspire you, because you just did what most people never thought they could do. And you showed what was possible." So it's not what happens to you. It's not what you've been through, not what you're going through. It's what you decide to do with what it is. You can be victim of history or master of destiny by the way you perceive, decide, and act.
It's super powerful. And it's interesting how you just broke that down, because I teach students and I find they're on one side of the continuum. I had one student that felt bad about charging his clients for money and set up a charity and ended up becoming broke and got divorced on the back of it. And once I was like, if you provide a fair service and you charge people for that, you take that, you invest it and help more people, then you can realize everything you wanted. And he was like breaking down in tears because for most of his life, he felt guilty about that profit.
Yeah.
I've also had students that just want to take all the money and give it to themselves and give a poor customer experience. And then they go, their business goes wrong. And I'm like, what are you doing? Unless you're providing the value to others, there's no way they're going to come back and continue.
Neither one of those are sustainable.
Right.
Narcissism or altruism by themselves are incomplete.
But the money's a beautiful feedback loop. It shouldn't be looked at as something bad, something evil, something dirty, anything like that.
No, it isn't.
It's a way of making the markets efficient.
It's exactly what it is. It's forcing people to be authentic and learn how to be true to themselves and fair in exchange with other people, because that's where you get rewarded.